Hey, we're Damn the Wolves. I'm Jody.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Rick.
And this is Now That's What I Call Damn Good Music.
The podcast.
Today we're talking about the fourth studio album by one of Britain's biggest bands, Queen. This is Night at the Opera, A Night at the Opera. Recorded between August 1975 and November 1975 at 7 different recording studios. That's quite a lot, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Around a bit.
Yeah. They included Olympic, Rockfield, Psalm Studios, Roundhouse, Scorpio Sound and Ridge Farm.
And Trident Studios or something.
That's right. God Save the Queen. The final track was recorded the previous October, so 1974 at Trident Studios. Well done, Rick. Yeah. 10 points to you.
Thank you. Straight in the lead there.
It was produced by Roy Thomas Baker and Queen. It was released on the 28th of November 1975 and was Queen's first UK number one album. Did you know?
Wow.
It stayed at number one for 4 weeks. I think it peaked at number 4 or something like that on the US Billboard Top LPs and Tapes chart, which is what we
They have so many different charts in America. It's hard to follow, isn't it? What?
Yes, that's correct.
Didn't fare well in the country charts, did it?
At the time of recording, this was alleged to be the most expensive album ever made.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. But then it did obviously a lot of studios. That's a lot of gear.
I knew what it cost, but I don't. That was a complete lie. I'm going to go with in old money, which was something like 2 shillings and something, but now it's like 400,000, the equivalent. Something like that.
I don't understand the. It doesn't feel like the quality sound is anything bigger than stuff that was done. To me,
what at the same sort of time? The amount of tracks and things, and it's not just the quality of it. It's what was.
If you consider
there's new tech, you can tell there's new tech coming out, and they were experimenting with a lot of stuff.
But they were in 7 different studios. That's 7 lots of hiring, 7 lots of different gear hiring.
It cost an estimated £40,000 at the time, which is equivalent to £423,800 in today's money.
Well, you were very close then.
It does sound to me like it's an album that's been recorded in 7 studios. It doesn't sound a consistent album
It does sound, or it doesn't?
It doesn't. That feels very different.
Okay.
Song for song.
How many copies do you think they've sold of this? Do you think they've made their money back?
Yes.
I reckon so.
They were broke at the time, weren't they? Because the whole, we can talk about that with the first song, they'd fallen out with their manager, and the deal they had, which was why Trident wasn't used, was basically they had no royalties, no money.
Yeah, he sort of scammed them, didn't he?
They were on sort of £60 each a week, weren't they? Because there's a famous story about John Deacon, the bass player, asking to borrow money to put down a deposit on a house and not being able to do it.
Yeah, they refused him. So how many copies do you think this has sold?
40 million.
Ooh, blimey, bro!
Wow, he's gone high.
He has gone high.
What do you think, Rick?
I no idea. 10 million? In
excess of 12 was the best I could come up with.
Not on it today, am I?
What do you think their total album
sales are?
You
were in excess of 12, Brett. You were
140 million.
Total album sales.
Because that's greatest hits and all that. 100 million?
Over 300 million.
Whoa! Both way out. Can we take this element out of the podcast? Because we start to embarrass ourselves with this.
This album... so we should talk about why we've chosen to do this album and where perhaps the first thing you might have heard from it. Obviously, none of us were around when this came out, when this was released.
I was born the year that I was about 5 months old when this came out.
You were?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Are you sure? Because we found out in the Blondie one that you don't know how old you are or what year anything was.
I've got no idea.
Just that you were an early riser.
You were an early riser when...
I'm an early riser.
And Debbie Harry.
I am and a late riser. And sometimes during the middle of the day as well.
And sometimes, as we know from the stage, you miss the rise.
I've got lots to say about everything about life in this album. I'm in a good...
You're right.
Yeah, I'm good.
You sound like you're having a break now.
I know. Isn't life crazy?
So this album, we thought this was, this is kind of the most generally regarded as the most popular kind of album. It was obviously a big one for them. It was their first UK number one, and maybe springboarded them into the massive band that they became after this.
It also has Bohemian Rhapsody on it, and of course in those days albums were a big deal. So if a certain song was on an album, I think people tended to buy that album.
Yeah,
I wonder if it would have been quite the album without that on it, whether it would have had the impact.
Possibly not.
I've got anxiety and I'm a bit nervous about this today, and I want to tell you why. Can I do that? So Queen, undoubtedly one of the biggest bands, if not the biggest in British history, maybe second to the Beatles, and worldwide iconic, amazing. The hits are just incredible, totally
got an
inspiring.
iconic T-shirt on.
I can see that. Very nice. Massive fan. Never listened to this album before.
There's a big but coming here, isn't there?
Well, I'm nervous because I've got so much respect for an amazing bunch of musicians, and the history that they've created is incredible. But I've really struggled with this, and I don't know what to do about it.
About what?
Ooh.
About discussing.
Why? Because you struggled with the album, or you
really struggled with. Obviously, there's some absolutely beautiful moments on it, but I was really taken back and surprised, and I love to talk about music that makes me feel stuff and I get connected with, but I've struggled. So I'm going to be very diplomatic how I approach it and what I say.
Honesty always the best policy.
I want to be completely honest, but from the start, I've got and I'm at best an average musician in the west of Cornwall, so I've got no reason.
Hang on, who's an average musician in the west of Cornwall?
Me.
Oh, you? Okay.
Well, musician, I don't. Anyway. So I'm going to be very respectful, and I've got no right to say anything negative. So I just want to get that out there, but I have to be honest.
So it's your personal preference. That's what you're saying.
Yes. Okay. So don't judge me on it.
So before we go into it,
should we say the views held in this podcast may not be represented by the band, but
individual.
What's that thing used to pop up on DVDs in the day? The views of the actors, artists and commentaries may not represent the views of Sony Pictures. Yeah. So we're going to say that with Brett. His views might not represent ours or the band's views.
Yes, no, totally.
Yes, okay.
So, but before we get stuck into this, I just want to say this has been voted in top 100 album polls, okay?
Not by Brett.
As one of the top 100 rock albums of all time by the BBC, Channel 4, Classic Rock Magazine, Kerrang, NME, Q Magazine and Rolling Stone Magazine.
Who am I to...
Okay? And it's an amazing thing, isn't it? Because it straddles genres like, nothing else I can remember listening to in recent history. From progressive rock, pop, heavy metal almost, hard rock, avant pop, and then there's sort of
there's
touches
some
on
extra
folk,
genre
skiffle, music hall, jazz,
music hall,
opera. There's everything in there. It's like they've just thrown everything at it.
A lot of those are all in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
I think that's why I maybe struggled as a piece of work. I just...
You are a piece of work.
Right. It's going to get spicy today because I'm...
Spicy again.
Yeah, it's going to get spicy if you're not careful.
Should we get stuck in?
Yeah. When can I talk about our meeting with Roger? When can we do that?
Just do it now. You've brought it up.
I mean, do we do that because it's quite a big story?
We've met Roger, haven't we?
I think so. So we'll quickly. Can we just tell the story very quickly? So we had someone that wanted us to do a private show for their wedding, didn't we? And we was like, well, we don't usually do it. And she goes, well, it'll be at my uncle's house. And we're like, who's your uncle? She goes, oh, it's Uncle Roger. You know that guy from Queen?
There's a chef from China or Indonesia on YouTube called Uncle Roger, who slates people's like egg fried rice and stuff, especially Gordon Ramsay and
where we go with this?
Well, I'm just saying it's not Uncle Roger from YouTube. It was Roger Taylor.
So her uncle was Roger Taylor, and their wedding was going to be held at his house. He lives very close to where we are, and we were like, okay then. So we decided to do the show, didn't we?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So we rocked up, and it's probably the most iconic. Not iconic. It's the wrong word. The one of the biggest moments of my life to be at his house, and we set our gear up at their wedding venue in his house, and I shook Roger's hand, and it will live with me forever. So,
well, Roger was very gracious, wasn't he, to come up and say hello to and introduce himself to us before we played.
At the time, we also thought we ought to learn some Queen songs just in case. And we went and learned some because we really thought about this, and I said we should learn ones which Roger Taylor's written. Let's not be idiots here. Let's be quite flattering, and we'll have them in the bag. You know, Roger, if you want to get up and sing something, there's a few we can do. Yeah, there's a few you can do. And he didn't.
So it was one of the... Yeah, he didn't. But he did sit down and watch our show, and it was like, there was moments that were totally surreal that will live with me forever. And it was an incredible night, wasn't it? I was very excited, wasn't I? And I wasn't driving that night either, was I? And there was a lot of free alcohol to be had, wasn't there?
Yes.
And I got very, very excited.
Yes.
And quite drunk.
Yes.
And
yes.
The whole night overwhelmed me to a point that when we were leaving...
Oh, God. You can actually tell people what you did.
I might have to because it's please don't judge me on this, anyone.
It's hard not to.
But I remember the moment where...
Yeah, unfortunately I do too.
We were walking past the last moment after saying our goodbyes, and there was this massive, beautiful deck area from Roger's house. And
there's so many people switching off now going, I'm not going to do this podcast.
I might well have pulled my trousers down and had a dance around the decking, only to then realise that the CCTV cameras were pointing right.
God,
There was dick on the deck.
I just remember having this moment of absolutely losing my shit with my trousers around my ankles, going, I'm at Roger's house.
But you were running around doing it on the decking. I can remember saying, what on earth are you doing?
And I don't know why I did it.
Get in the van and stop it.
I know, but I did it. So I'm so sorry, Roger. You'll never get to listen to this.
Needless to say, we weren't invited back.
No, we've never met Uncle Roger since,
I just
have we?
hope they didn't watch anything back on the cameras.
I don't know.
it's
How far
probably
away were the cameras?
Oh, about close enough, mate. Anyway, I had to get that story out there. I'm really sorry. It's
do you think
very disrespectful, and but it's.
Well, it might have been an ultimate sign of respect.
It was the most beautiful moment of my life to meet him.
It was a low point of my life seeing you do it.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry, but there we go. The story's out. Should we crack on?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Track 1.
Yeah.
Death on 2 legs.
That's so funny. I'm having the best week of my life. Oh my God. Right, let's talk about it.
Okay, so
give me a minute.
is-
I'm still trying to get back on
This song, Death on 2 Legs, was written by Freddie Mercury. Famously, a hate letter to the band's first manager, Rick, who you touched upon before, Norman
I
Sheffield.
didn't touch him. No, not yet. But about the Trident Studios, because he was part of Trident, the company.
Yeah, he basically mistreated the band, abused his role as manager. So this was,
the
was written about
producer for this as well, Ray Thomas Barker.
Is it Barker or Baker?
Baker. Yeah, Baker. Sorry.
Okay.
Baker. I know that. He was also part of Trident as well. He left so that he could produce this album.
Oh, really?
Well, he left and he produced this album. I don't know which.
Made the right
first.
choice.
Yeah. It was a big. But that's partly why they went through all the studios for this. These 7 studios and all. It was all because of the financial woes of the band who were broke.
Yeah.
So was it EMI that stumped up the cash for this? I think it was. They signed to EMI,
EMI eventually,
Elektra in America.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's not about the song. I've just
sorry. Go on, Joe.
I was just going to say you've got this grandiose piano intro.
I really like the piano intro.
I really like the piano.
It's
intro.
incredible how talented Freddie was. I mean, he was quite young at this point, wasn't he? I mean, was he classically trained was he self-taught as a piano player? I mean, it's obviously.
He could certainly play piano. I don't
Very
know.
good.
I don't know about his music education.
No,
it feels a very epic.
I think he was proficient.
Very beautiful.
He was proficient on the piano, wasn't he?
Oh, okay.
He used to
Is he
play
not
this.
not as good as what I thought he was? Then are you saying that he was a bit?
No, I'm not saying anything.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if he was.
I think he was very good.
Yeah.
His musicality was exceptional.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, and then I love the guitar effects on the before the song kicks in.
Yeah, they're demonic, aren't they?
Yeah.
The notes are, and apparently, I've read this or made it up, that Freddie Mercury sang them to Brian May.
Oh, really?
He'd sing the parts. This is what I want you to play, and sing those lines, and then he'd play those first ones.
Do you think Freddie was the kind of writer where he could hear the song in his head, as he was writing it?
I think each of them, when they wrote, did that. That. This is my song. This is what I hear. This is what I'd like you to play, and then the others brought bits to it. I think that's quite common.
Which is an amazing thing that they gelled together, and they could read each other. They could understand what the other person was hearing or
they
wanted
didn't
to
always.
hear.
It took them 7 studios to get there.
Well, yeah, possibly.
I think that's what makes Queen fairly unique, and some of the greatest bands in the world. Brett mentioned the Beatles and things earlier, but the different personalities and the different skills they have as writers and different points where they'd come in with very different songs. I don't think they necessarily wrote as a band. They each had these ideas and
yeah.
He played the piano part a lot live, even though they didn't always play the song. He often played the piano part before other songs.
Right. I have to say that the chorus is a real earworm. I've had this stuck in my head a lot this week.
Yeah.
Freddie's vocal delivery, I mean, we don't need to talk too much about it because every single person that knows Queen knows how good.
Incredible.
Where is Jodie in your rock singers or top male singers? Where is he? He's got to be top 5.
Yeah, I would say he's top 5.
Would you say top 3?
I don't know. I've not worked out my.
You haven't worked it out.
He's there. He's up there.
He must be in everybody's top list of greatest male rock singers.
Yeah,
he must come up. Surely.
Yeah, he's incredible.
No one's ever owned the stage, I think, like Freddie when he.
Oh no, Rick Savage, the bass player in Def Leppard. I would go.
He can work
the stage like no one else.
And Michael Anthony from Van Halen, but
so he's been outdone by two bass players in 80s rock bands.
No, Freddie, you're right, Brett. I mean, he was an incredible songwriter, an incredible singer, and an incredible showman.
Yep.
He did have everything. He was the full package, wasn't he? His voice in this, his vocal delivery, in this song particularly, I guess he's kind of interpreting the lyrics, but he sounds really pissed off.
I think
I mean, it's a real kind of there's a spite in his delivery.
There's a lot I like about this song, but I don't, like Brett said earlier, I don't want to be negative, but the lyrics for me are a bit. I'll say I didn't connect with them. They're a bit one-dimensional for me. They don't. It's like, yeah, okay, I get it.
I think that was kind of his point, though.
Yeah, I know.
That was kind of like
100% what they're getting at. But
it was an honest thing. Some lovely bass playing in this as well.
Musically, I love the fact it harks back a little bit to Killer Queen as well. The groove for me sounds like Killer Queen from Sheer Heart Attack, the album before, which I think is a good thing. I love the guitar.
It's very Brian May now, isn't it? That's his iconic sound that. I don't know the previous albums, but
I think he's always had that.
Yeah.
So he's just.
Was it from the start? Was it?
Yeah,
from the you just know it's him, don't you? It's just that I don't know what his setup was.
Would you like me to talk at length about his guitar
not at length,
sound?
but just crack on and just quickly. What was it?
What? Yeah, that's
keep it brief.
Sound.
Keep it brief. Yeah.
Well, his homemade guitar, but it always sounds like him no matter what he's playing. He had treble boosters in it and incredibly loud hot rodded AC30s that were on the edge of what they do. He goes through them like no one else.
Wow.
So Vox AC30 amps, which are very bell-like and he has such a trebly bright sound, and he'd have a treble booster in it as well, and he'd temper that by using really long like curly cables, the coiled cables. So
that wasn't just because he had curly hair.
No, I think he probably did it and then realised it sounded better because they have a high capacitance, which takes off the top end of a sound. So that cable, because it's like if you curl a cable, the curly cables are about hundreds of feet long, aren't they? Because it's wound up. You both think I've gone mental, don't you? If you put a really long cable into something, it takes the top end, the treble off of it.
Yep.
So that cable that he used would have an effect on the sound. Okay. It would be like rolling the tone control down a little bit.
So his amp situation, because I heard that his amps were made by John Deacon.
No.
And they were known as the Deaky.
John Deacon made him a little amp called the Deaky amp.
Yeah.
Which was a little tiny, I think, was it transistor? I don't think it was even valve. But like a micro amp, like a really mini one.
Right.
And so he'd use that for various things, for overdubs or for specific sounds. But his main sound is a Vox AC30 or several of them. But
John Deacon was had a degree in electronics, didn't he? He was very clever chap.
Vox,
all clever chaps.
I think Vox sold a Deaky amp a little while back. You could buy a Deaky the Brian May amp, but it was called the Deaky or something.
Can we talk about John Deacon's bass playing?
Yes.
I did try and squeeze it in a minute
ago. I know, you got overshadowed, didn't you?
Yeah, he shouted over me, didn't he, Brett? You heard that. He lost his 10-point lead now. His bass playing is absolutely phenomenal, I think. He is definitely in my top 5 bass players.
Oh, cool.
Because he's
a very musical player, I find.
Yeah, he's always... I feel like he's exploring to find the right part that fits in the pocket between the drums, between the guitar. But he's got such a lovely flair for melody, picking out on Freddie's melodies and his own little melodies.
Yeah.
I think he's a wonderful bass player.
Yeah, definitely.
Shines through in this song.
Yes.
I did some deck work for a band recently, just doing function stuff and covers, and they do a couple of Queen songs in their set. So I had to learn a couple of John Deacon bass lines, and I didn't, until I went to learn and realise how much he actually puts in.
Yeah.
There's a lot more, his like ghost notes and things and little subtle things.
Nuances.
Yeah, there's a lot of it that are really important when you try to learn it. If you leave them out, it just doesn't work as well.
Yep.
And Roger's quite a busy tom fill drummer, isn't he? There's a lot. he puts a lot of fills in, which I can't, between the two they work. Keeps it very busy, but I can, very individual and iconic sound that Roger has as a drummer. Definitely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of toms in this song, isn't there?
There is.
Death on Two Legs.
Okay.
Great sounds. Great, really amazing drum sounds. He's got a very individual kind of sound. Big toms.
Big Tom's big kick drum.
Big kick drum.
Quite a 70s sounding snare.
Yeah.
It was 1975 smack bang in the middle though.
I do.
Yeah.
I did have some quibbles with the production and the mix on some of these and how quiet some of the drums are mixed back and the snare drum is one song.
Well, you've got an issue with the mix engineer, have you?
I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Okay, maybe it is. Should we move on? Track 2?
Yes.
Lazing on a Sunday Afternoon. So again, another Freddie song. This one really reminds me of something Paul McCartney might have written.
Yeah.
Very, very kind of Macca Beatles era.
What John Lennon would call his granny music.
Don't start on that again, because you upset me with that.
So did I?
Yeah, I like some of those songs.
It wasn't me. It was John Lennon. It's John Lennon upset you, not me.
Yeah.
So when we did Abbey Road a while back, I was blown away by this kind of style of writing with listening to. I totally connected with that kind of almost. How do you call it?
Granny music.
Don't do it.
What do you call it?
Musical. This is kind of campy musical kind of thing.
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
So, and I totally get what the Beatles did. Now, when I heard this, and it sounds awful, and I don't want to downplay it. It felt like it was a bad version of trying to recreate what was done at Abbey Road for the Abbey Road album.
Okay.
That's how I can't connect with it, and I'm sorry.
Okay.
I really apologise.
Well, this has got a real musical vibe about this song.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
I think that's kind of cool with the Night of the Opera, and then the second song is like almost like, right, here we go. This is like it's almost a Night of the Musicals, isn't it?
Do you not think though it's got all the classic Queen elements? Like it's only 1 minute and 7 seconds long.
Yeah.
It's really playful piano part, playful lyrics, but it encapsulates all the things I deem Queen. So you know, Freddie's voice, and the incredible harmonies that are just very Queen.
Yeah.
Brian's guitar sound and his style is there. John Deacon's bass playing is there. As we were just saying, the brilliant stuff that he does, and the songwriting is just.
The songwriting is, but
the songwriting. This one's just a bit out there, isn't it? It's very Freddie.
Maybe I should just have been a little bit more open to, a piece of work that I should just be more open and understanding about it, and not.
It's not my favourite musical style, but it's okay by me because he sings the word "sunny down." I love that.
Oh,
we wait for sunny down.
Yeah, I love that line.
Yeah. I'm going to say that more. I'm going to say that. Should we get that done before sunny down?
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I love
he's
that.
just being. It's just more opera, isn't it?
If
It's
all
like
he
a
did
show
was
tune.
sing in his style and sing "Sunny Down," I would like it.
And I guess when you know the Freddie story, you know who Freddie is and how do you describe Freddie? I mean, he had a complicated life, didn't he? Upbringing, and I think there's so much going on in his mind as a writer that I should just not be so judgmental. I think. Maybe
yes, that's the best thing you've said all day.
And I'm not judging it at all.
I'm only kidding.
I'm just as a music fan listening to something.
I don't. Yeah, no, you've got to be honest.
I'm sorry, I'm going to shut up.
You've got to be honest. Apparently, Rick, the guitar solo was recorded on the lead vocal track because there weren't any tracks left.
What?
Yes.
That was like, hang on, when we get to Bohemian Rhapsody,
they got done over with that big budget, didn't they? Sorry, mate, you got no.
What I was going to say with Brett when he was talking about how did it cost so much?
Yes.
There's 180 tracks plus 180 plus tracks on Bohemian Rhapsody, and some of the others with bouncing down the amount of the vocal harmonies. We talked about bouncing the other day with.
Yeah.
So they use a 24 track on this
yes,
machine,
they've gone from 16
to 24.
previously,
Yeah.
Wow.
And apparently at some points the tape was so thin, the Baker, not Barker, would say that you could see through the tape. They'd done it so many times. It became
but wasn't that a famous thing that then turned out to be actually the tape machine was on the way out and it was wearing quicker than
so
it should
many
have done?
Tape machine.
Sure, I heard
that
Brian
has a
May say that in an interview.
Sonic impact on the tape as well when they wear out. Sometimes it's a positive effect.
Mm.
Anyway, how did they manage that on this, Jodie? There's not as much going on.
I don't know. It was something I read on the internet, so it has to be true.
Oh, okay.
This one flows really nicely into track 3. I'm in love with my car.
So this is how I'm going to describe this song and what it means to me. The song musically and the sound and the band and everything going on, I find it incredible and I absolutely love it. But I cannot connect with the narrative of the song.
Is that because you've never loved the car?
I can't believe that there's such a big song talking about.
Another story popped in my head there, which I'm going to leave well alone.
No, don't.
What?
Talk
Don't
about
leave it alone. About how much love you've had in a car.
Don't get personal, man.
No, you just said talk about it.
I didn't even talk about me. I just for such an incredible piece of songwriting. I was waiting for a connection between the narrative being about something, but it isn't. It's just about.
To be fair to you, lyrically, this is not for me lyrically either.
No, so this is allegedly Brian when Roger played Brian a demo. and he thought it was a joke.
I think that's in the film, isn't it? Bohemian Rhapsody. That's portrayed in the film.
I can't remember, but I'm going to watch it again though after listening to this.
Didn't you do it as research?
I didn't watch it. No, not as research.
That's not like you.
Well, that's someone else's interpretation of what happened, isn't it?
Well, it got the thumbs up from Brian and Rog, didn't it?
What about John Deacon?
John Deacon does nothing to do with anything
I'm
anymore.
not sure I can believe it then.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But so Roger wrote this about one of the Queen roadies.
Do you know what
and his love for his Triumph TR4.
And there's a link to us here, Jodie, because our dad has a TR4
A.
Why is it an A? Do you know what the A is?
No.
Independent rear suspension.
Is that right?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
Going off on one ear.
Yeah, he's like Jeremy Clarkson, isn't he?
People either love him or hate him.
Yeah.
Needs to stop eating.
But Roger loved this song so much that he persuaded Freddie, he urged Freddie to put this as the B-side to Bohemian Rhapsody, which was obviously the big, massive.
Yeah, we'll get there, won't we?
But back then, the B-side, they split the royalties between the A-side and the B-side.
Yeah.
So, he made quite a lot of money from this song.
That was a point of contention, I think, with the band.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of a fallout.
Uncle Roger made so much money from a song they didn't, off the back of it being the B-side to Bohemian Rhapsody.
I think we can just call him Roger now.
No, I like the link.
The decking was top quality. I mean, as far as wood goes,
it must have been non-slip, Brett.
It was definitely well, yeah.
Can we leave? Oh no, the image is back.
He's done all right for himself. Nice little pad, isn't it?
Yeah. I think Roger's voice on this is incredible.
Yeah.
Do you?
His range is.
Can I counter that by saying this isn't my favourite Roger vocal moment?
Oh, it's not my favourite Roger vocal, but
I was saying that in a nice way, and that I don't actually like it.
What, you don't like the song?
No, I'm not a massive fan, so I don't like his vocal performance on this.
Oh, I think it's really.
We're not to say negatives, are we? So.
I think his vocal is magnificent on this. I think
Roger Taylor's output in his writing for other things. I love it. He's written some unbelievable songs, and I'm a massive fan.
Another one of Queen's.
This is not his biggest moment.
I'm going to say something about Brian May singing later on as well that I don't like.
Oh, really?
I don't like the negativity in the room.
Sorry.
I don't like the negativity in your room. I don't like the negativity in your room.
In my room?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I've said so far that's slightly not for me. I didn't connect with
Remember what I said at the start, though?
But it's one of the things that make Queen so brilliant.
Probably.
Is the fact that Freddie has got an incredible voice, Roger has an incredible voice, Brian has an incredible voice.
And John won't sing.
John doesn't sing. He doesn't need to sing because he's just interested in the little nuances.
While we're talking about that, we could talk about how brilliant the harmonies are on this album and how iconic that is.
Yeah.
And it's obviously famous, everyone knows this, but Brian May has the low voice, doesn't he? He takes all the low parts. Freddie punching through the middle with his power, and Roger Taylor's incredibly high voice.
So does John not do any of the harmony stuff?
No, those are the three of them.
So what about Bohemian Rhapsody?
There's three of them.
Honestly?
Double track, multi-track.
We'll get into it.
I didn't know that.
In the second verse of this, Rick, did you pick up the guitar? Brian was soloing through the second verse. And I thought, that's really cool, really brave, and you don't hear stuff like that very often.
I love Brian May's playing. I love Brian May.
Yeah.
I love him.
And I think he's a lovely man, isn't he?
I've never heard you say that
just
so much.
mean in a personal way, but that as well. I love his playing. I love him as a musician, as a writer, as a person, as intellect, everything.
Yeah.
I probably a little bit in love then.
Nice. That's nice for you did.
And he's got great hair, isn't he?
His hair is fantastic.
Great hair,
yeah.
Still got his curls, though, hasn't he?
Yes.
And the lead.
Anita Dobson, she's a bit curly as well, isn't she?
He's married to his wife. Oh no! At least she didn't get the Gwyneth the Paltrow treatment.
No. Anita Dobson. Bless her. They're like a couple of twins, aren't they, when they're out and about?
Oh God! Didn't you go out with someone called Anita Dobson once, Brett?
No, you nicknamed her Anita Dobson.
Did I?
No, I went out with someone called Anita.
I would do.
Anita, I went out with.
Oh, maybe I did.
And then you called her Anita Dobson.
Did I?
Anyway, that's
another story.
Okay.
A strange sort of fade out at the end of this, and then it fades back up for a clean guitar just for a few seconds, which then goes into
like
the
a quirky 12-string electric part, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird.
I like that bit.
Yeah, no, I like it, but it's weird. But I think there's elements of this album where they've put those extra little touches in between the songs just to make give it that flow.
I love those sort of quirky bits.
Yeah,
I think, going back to what you said about Brian May, the fills in this are brilliant.
Yes.
I love Brian May's guitar fills and where he puts those in and interjects them.
Yep.
He does it a lot throughout everything of theirs, and it's great.
Yep. Track 4, You're My Best Friend. So this was written by John Deacon.
Second song he ever wrote for Queen.
Yeah.
But the first one used as a single. Is that right?
Yes. And what a big song. This
song.
has been such a popular song. And it was he wrote it for his wife, which is really lovely. But the bit that I liked about this was the fact that John was learning to play the Wurlitzer, wasn't he? The electric piano. And Freddie didn't like it.
I don't think he liked the sound. I think it was more the sound than his playing.
Yes.
Or the song. I think he didn't like the sound.
Didn't like the sound. But I think it's a really cool sound.
It sounds a lot like. Yeah, it sounds like a road song.
This is one of my favourite productions of the old album. It sounds so different to some of the other stuff. It sounds really on point and
very simple.
Very simple.
Low key.
Great. Roger's great on point with this. It's very.
And the bass playing this, I know he overdubbed the bass over the top, but it's
the
great in a busy, great way though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so tight. What Roger is very famous for is that when they were recording back in the day, there were no click tracks, and when you hear how tight he is as a player, there's no movement in tempos. It's very much on point, and he's very renowned for that.
Metronomic, is he?
Metronomic, very metronomic. That's a big word for me to get out.
Yeah,
and I said it right twice.
You got it right.
Yeah, I did say it before you to help.
And a lot of times when they were tracking that, they would have to count the breaks. So there would be no click and nothing there, and they would record parts, and when you count it, it's like even if 8-bar break or something with no drums, it'll come back in, and that's Roger counting, and it's very, very inspirational.
I'm very fond of Roger's drum fills in this, is like a signature fill.
Yeah.
No, so where he goes from the low tom.
What was that noise?
Oh, do you want?
Can you do this for me, Brett? The low tom to the rack tom to the snare drum.
It's very Ringo. Something like no.
You played drums before.
Something like that. Anyway, there's nothing like that, is it?
That snare
I
sounds
thought
like
it was gaga. That's what I.
Yeah, something like that. I didn't. It's only in the back of my head, isn't it? Saturday morning. It's only 9 o'clock. Just a chance.
But it's like a theme, that drum fill in this song.
It's fair. Yes, that's
where it comes in. It comes again going into the second chorus. Yeah. It's again in the outro. I just really like that. I like the fact that it's a reoccurring thing.
I love the feel of this song is my favourite part of it. I think
he was very inspired by Ringo Starr. I think there's a lot of Ringo in his playing, and I think he took a lot of that from Ringo.
Yeah.
So, but it's a bit very Roger sounding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant arranged harmonies again.
Yeah, the harmonies are just incredible.
The movement in the chorus of this is really nice. The way the chords change, specifically in the second part of it.
Yes,
it's really nice.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I was going to say something else. I'm going to turn this into a positive, not a negative. Lyrically, this isn't my favourite on the album either, but I was thinking about how sometimes when you really do blatant lyrics are very... it's very clear what he's trying to say here, which is great.
Very believable. I wrote down a very believable lyric.
But like later on when you get to like Love of My Life, I love those lyrics, love them, and they're just as I don't want to use the word simple, straightforward, perhaps. But I love those. But this for me, I prefer.
I just think this is a really sweet song.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that what it is?
A sweet ode to his wife. I think
we know that. I just don't like the sweetness.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But the song, I love the song.
Yeah, I love the song.
I like John Deacon too.
Oh, I love John Deacon. But Brian's lovely solo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Legendary sound, melodic, cracking stuff. Brilliant. Should we move on?
Yeah.
Track 5, 39. So this one's written by Brian May.
Yep.
About kind of space explorers. Is what I got from that.
No. Do you know what the story is?
No.
Oh, hang on. Am I wrong? It's deliberately written as like a pirate sea shanty type thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a nice genre, isn't it? Can you imagine putting that on Spotify? What genre? I'm going to do that for our next single. It's a pirate shanty. I thought it was about sailors or pirates, or not pirates, but sailors going away, and when they come back, time's moved at a different rate. Time dilation, isn't it called?
Well, is that not explorers?
Einstein's theory of relativity and time dilation is that. I sound like a nerd. I'm going to stop myself. But with two clocks exposed to different velocities or whatever, it means that time's passed differently in a different place to another one.
I can't process
And when they
that.
come back from being at sea, 100 odd years has lapsed, and all of their families and loved ones are gone.
So they are explorers.
I think that's they're not in space.
They're not
though.
space explorers.
Sea explorers.
Sea explorers.
Seamen.
What?
Seamen, Sea Explorers.
Moving on.
This is a completely different feel again to everything you've heard so far.
Yeah, totally.
Love the acoustic.
I love the bass drum. I love that kind of that big like open Roger sound with the guitar, and I think the feel of the song is really cool.
I agree.
Yeah, I love this kind of feel.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not a massive shanty fan, but I don't mind this.
I'm a big fan of the folky sing along.
Yes,
which is what I feel this fits into in my genres in my head.
What I really like about this, Jodie, is the what it made me think of as well. I know that's really not always a cool thing to do when you say it reminds me of. It reminds me of Question by the Moody Blues when it starts with the 12-string acoustics.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Moody's in it for me, but it's I think that's just the 12-string that did it.
And also the R's. That song.
Yeah,
and how high
harmonies.
is Roger Taylor's voice in that?
Yeah, it's really high.
Uber high.
Yeah.
Brian's voice in this. I love Brian's voice. I love his singing.
I'm with Jodie on that. Sorry.
I think whatever I hear him singing, he sounds really earnest. Like in his delivery, I really believe him because he really feels what he's singing.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Just to finish there, Brett, I prefer his version of Too Much Love Will Kill You to Freddie's, which is an outstanding song. Love that song.
Good. I'm going to have to listen to both now. I'm going to go and listen to both.
There's something about the way Brian May sings it that's just, I just believe him.
Okay.
What were you going to say?
No, I'm not. I don't want to. I don't want to undermine what you just said. And I just when I hear this, I think Freddie is so up there. And it feels. I'm not going to say weak. I didn't find the lyric. I didn't find the lyric very. I don't know.
There's far more negativity coming out of Brett's room today, Jodie. I feel. Do you not think that?
He's one of the most iconic guitarists on the planet.
Songwriters.
I'm just not. Of course.
I think you need to speak your mind. I think it's important that you have everyone has their say.
I just don't. I just don't find it as strong. But then I'm not open to the concept of the album, and my little brain doesn't.
I'm gonna send you the 2 versions of Too Much Love Will Kill You.
I'm gonna do that later.
I love Brian May. I love everything about him, what he represents in life. And I'll probably love him as much as you, Rick.
Oh,
it's only what I'm hearing when it comes out the speakers.
I'm going to change the subject a little bit, but about this song, there's other things I want to say. Is that okay?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The double bass played by John Deacon.
Yeah.
It was Brian May said it to him as a joke. Said I'd quite like double bass on this, and he went away and learnt it. A couple of days later, he found him in the studio, apparently recording the double bass part.
Brilliant.
I thought that was really quite a sweet story.
Brilliant. Amazing.
And I really like the outro's got a really weird bit. Have you noticed that? Where one side of the guitar, the acoustic guitar, drops out completely and it's just one guitar, and then the other one comes in and then it ends. And I always think when I listen to it, I like it because I always think, I reckon they did that by accident and they went with it. It sounds like when someone's accidentally go, oops, sorry, I deleted that. But I wish it was. That'd be great.
Okay.
And sorry.
Oh, I just want to say that we're in the era now of rock and roll where a lot of things were being smoked and sniffed and all.
What now?
No, back in the 70s, around this, and I wonder as a band whether those what was being used, substances and stuff like that was being used, and how much that inspires when you're in the studio being creative and making these things.
I wouldn't know with this, but it doesn't strike me this album as a particularly fueled by or influenced by for me. But I wouldn't know. I wouldn't want to comment. Obviously.
Okay.
Can we move on?
Yeah.
Can we also say how close this sounds to Extreme's Wholehearted, Jodie? That kick drum thing.
Yeah. Oh, I can
Extreme
hear there.
Because I used to listen to Extreme of it when I was younger, and sometimes when you go back and listen to Queen, you're like, that's where that came from, isn't it?
Yeah. Very,
which they would
very
freely admit, I
by.
think. But yeah.
Track 6, Sweet Lady, another Brian song.
Yeah.
The riff reminds me of something, but I can't put my finger on what it is.
I think it might be Thunder, the British rock band Thunder.
Yeah.
It reminds you of.
It's very Stonesy, isn't it, in its vibe as well? It's very Rolling Stones.
Brian May, who we love. We ought to do all your impressions. You could do your Chris Martin, your Mick Jagger. We
do your Mick Jagger again.
I can't do it on demand. I'm not a comedian.
Well,
all right.
It's so good.
I wish I could do an impression.
Mine are not good.
No, that was funny. That tickled me. That
I know you're laughing at me, not with me.
That was a good one. It was good. Well done. Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is a classic Brian May riff. He loves that that Stones thing, that very famous Mick Jagger thing of I won't demonstrate because I haven't got a guitar with me. But that
for
riff,
the listener, Rick was
going
to get up and strut across the studio. Then
I was, yeah. I won't. That riff, he's in every great classic Brian May rock song, which there was many. That's a staple of his. That's his famous riff. That's his thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you can hear it even in the end of "We Will Rock You." It's the same pattern.
He's more of a rock writer, isn't he, Brian?
Well, I don't know. He's done the pirate shanty.
No, I know, but as a general kind of, he's. I feel like he's the rock.
I feel like he has one or two rock songs in him for every album, sort of thing. Yeah. And they're often, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but he has a real signature riff, and that is it. It's really cool.
And I guess when you compare him and Freddie together as writers and people that share the same band with two totally different, like yin and yangs of music with rock. What's your yin and yang?
Who are yin and yang?
Well, I
Freddie and Brian are yin and yang.
A couple of my school yin and yang.
You had a what?
A couple of mice. Mouses.
Sorry, okay, yeah.
Mice.
You're not right today, are you?
No.
It was your strange hand gesture of
yin and yang.
I don't know what you were doing.
What did he? I can't see him. What's he doing?
Best not to look.
Show me again. I'll have a look through the door. Show me.
Yin and yang.
Oh God! Oh wait, I can't. I can only see your hands, not your face, through the door.
That's all you need to see, mate. That's all you need to see.
It's very wrong.
I think how Freddie was as a writer and Brian, you can always hear how the songs are kind of, they take you. There's a bit of everything, isn't there?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah.
No, I have no idea what you're on about. But
so it's best just to say move on.
Oh, okay. I just still thinking about yin and yang and what your hands were doing.
Do you know what I like about this song the most? I really like the last minute of the song where it goes in double time. Yeah, it goes double time, and Brian May goes into a ripping guitar solo.
Yeah.
And the bass part, if you tune into the bass part, Don Deacon's doing a variation kind of 12 bar. That's the kind of feel he's got to it, but it's not.
I like
standard.
That it's in 3/4, which I think is really unusual for a rock song.
Yeah, you see,
the bridge is 4, isn't it?
I find that 3/4 a little bit jarring.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, only a little bit.
Ooh.
I wouldn't skip it because
What's your first negative comment of the day, Joe?
Sorry.
Well, on tape it is. He was negative before he started, wasn't he? Not about this.
Not about this.
No. Just yeah.
Sorry, I didn't.
No, it's good. I love your honesty.
There's a lot of negativity in your room today, Joe.
No negativity. No negativity in here.
The mid section, Jody. Going back to Extreme. How much does that sound like their bit in Cupid's Dead?
Yes.
The guitar and bass unison.
Yep.
All right, I'll stop doing that.
Okay,
now.
track 7, Seaside Rendezvous, another Freddie Mercury.
We're back to the.
It's kind of got that show tune,
musical kind of thing.
Yeah, musical vibe to it. Upbeat, bouncy, and a kazoo solo.
We're gonna do.
Let you boys talk about this.
Oh, okay, all right.
Silence says everything.
What for me is brilliant, but perhaps just in the recording thing, is him and Roger Taylor's vocals in the middle.
Yeah.
Where instead of the brass and woodwind, they thought, I know what would be fun. Let's do it with our voices.
Yeah. Who doesn't love a sort of, a voice bit of brass?
I thought that was a train. Brett's back.
6:15 from Campbell. We'll be arriving shortly.
Yeah, it's sort of humorous little ditty, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a music. It's back to that musical kind of musical thing.
I reckon they had a real laugh recording this song.
Yeah, well, I think probably.
Okay, we're going to move on. Track 8, the Prophet song. So this would have been side 2 on the vinyl.
I love this song.
Do you?
Great vocal delivery.
This is the longest recorded Queen song.
Yes, I
8
know
minutes
that.
and 20 seconds.
Yes.
What do we think this is about?
What do I think it's about? What do we think it's about?
Yeah.
It's about locusts.
What?
Isn't it? It's about famine and locusts and natural disaster, and it's all that biblical
I thought you meant locusts in the car.
Lotus, that is, not locust.
Oh, I misheard you, sorry.
Lotus Elise.
Lotuses, as in like the bzzz.
No, that's
a
Roger's,
locust.
that's Uncle Roger's song earlier.
What's it about?
Locusts, like plagues of locusts, that sort of thing.
Locust, buzzy.
Not Lotus.
Not the car.
Not Lotus.
Just say we've had a car song already, so I'll do another one. Oh, okay. Lotusts.
Oh, God.
Locusts.
I read that
sports cars.
This was a dream that Brian May had about the Great Flood.
Okay.
And his fears for the human race and its lack of empathy.
Oh, so it wasn't about. It was more floods than plagues of locusts. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a mini rock opera, isn't it? But for me, I mean, it sounds like it could be part of a show.
It's very, 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 for me, proggy, very proggy.
Yes, very
and
proggy,
very, I can, yes, Genesis, Rush, Jethro Tull,
definitely.
all of them in there. But, it's just prog, isn't it? It's proggy. My favourite bits of it, and this is going to sound bad, is the ending. I love all the different parts that he kind of just chucks in at the end, the electric guitar parts, and then how it segues into the acoustic part of Love of My Life, which is afterwards. I think is just brilliant. I love that bit.
That's very clever. I like the drop D kind of riff in the chorus.
Yeah,
that's really nice. I like that. But
the phased guitar solo, very nice.
Very nice, like that. I love Freddie's voice on the Fear for Your Life section.
Is that the big long bit in the middle, the vocal bit?
That's before that bit.
Oh, yeah.
And then 3 minutes 23 seconds for your time watchers, the vocal section.
You haven't done it yet today.
Oh no, I was saving it for you. Freddie's vocal here, and I think it's all Freddie. It sounds like it's all Freddie. It shows to me, this section shows all of the sounds that Freddie can create with his voice. So you've got that kind of softer sound. You've got his more rocky sound where he adds a little bit of sort of grit to it, and it just shows his incredible range off. And again, I wonder how long that section took to record, because obviously he's sort of working out vocal parts and harmonies on a piano or whatever, and then recording them, and then the next part, and then the next part.
I did work them all out. I think sometimes you could just do that.
Yeah, possibly. But his bear in mind, there's no auto tune. There was none of that.
Well, do you hear the famous, what song is that? Where there's a famous quote or story that I think is actually famous and not made up for once, where Freddie Mercury's double track, it might have been on Bohemian Rhapsody, which obviously we'll get to, but he was so tight when he overdubs himself or doubles himself that he creates phase issues.
Really?
So on a double vocal, it makes it, because when things are out of phase, or in phase, depending on how you view it becomes phased and sounds thin and not as good. It doesn't work. The double doesn't
when
work.
They're slightly off.
Because if the waveforms match too accurately, it sounds weak. And that's what he kept doing because he was so tight and so consistent when he did these things.
Yeah. But then at the 5 minute 20 second mark, where all the voices come in and it just sounds like classic Queen, you've got that big kind of choral sound.
Yeah.
It's great. You're going to laugh at me now. At 5 minutes 50, when the instruments come back in, I'd not heard this song before until we decided we were going to do this podcast, unlike a lot of the others, which I know really well. When the instruments came back in, it reminded me a little bit of Spinal Tap.
Oh no, that's a negative.
Where everyone tries to play the stabs, but they're slightly out of time.
And with the pan stabs.
I know. I know they've done that. That's how it's meant to be. But for me, or sometimes like us, where we've been playing live and we've all gone to do an ending and we've done it in 3 different, like don't, and oh god,
that happens a lot.
So I did have to smile at myself.
Good. I like the song. It's a great song.
Yeah, very good. Yeah,
I love the next song. Can we move on to the next song? Because I love this.
One of the most beautiful songs, isn't it, ever?
I love this. And for once, often with these things, for me, I always say, I prefer it if it was just the vocal and the piano, it was small and it was more. But actually, in this instance, I like all the guitar overdubs. I love the tasteful bass notes throughout it, and I love the harp that I think it was Brian May put in. Right, and usually those sort of things, I think it's in the start as well. I think it's. He does a little harp, a bit of harp, say like a
I love this song. I adore this song. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful love song.
Yes, it is.
Yep, I absolutely love this song.
The things that come to mind, as you mentioned, is John Deacon's bass playing. When the bass does join in, he's not playing every note; he's playing select notes.
Yeah, which is really nice.
It's just so clever. You wouldn't think to do it.
The song is. I love the song. I love the lyrics. I love the harmony, the melody. All of it, I love. But I especially love the piano playing. It's very classical, and the little Baroque style trills.
Yes,
and the piano. There's little bits of. It's not just Baroque. There's some classical. It's more romantic in places as well. But I love it. It's
beautiful song.
Nothing but positivity here from me.
And me.
Absolutely love this. Oh, well, there we are. Look, we all agree.
Yeah, that's rare.
A special mention to the melody towards the end where Freddie sings "Back, hurry back, please bring it back home to me." Yeah. It's so haunting and just so painfully beautiful. I really love it.
Yep.
Wonderful
Faultless.
song.
Perfection, I think is the word.
Yes. Track 10, Good Company. Another Brian May song.
Yeah, I'm going to.
This is very, very.
Sit this one out, are you, Brett?
Sit this one out.
This is so Beatlesy to
So
me. This
Paul
is
McCartney.
so Paul McCartney. Yeah, I was going to say the same.
Do you know what I wrote? Oh,
Go
no,
on.
I'm not going to say it.
Oh, I thought you were sitting this one out.
Yeah.
Go on, keep it to yourself then.
Do you know what I wrote? No, I'm not. Oh no.
Go on, then.
No, just because you said about Beatles, and I wrote bad Beatles.
Bad Beatles.
Bad Beatles.
What? That you don't like the Beatles?
No, I love the Beatles. I just think this is a bad.
You see, I just think this is really so Brian May apparently wrote this on his dad's banjo ukulele. Is that right, Rick? But it's not a
banjolele.
Banjolele. Is that what they're called?
I don't know. Is there a difference? Can someone write in and tell me if there's a difference between a ukulele banjo and a banjolele? Are they the same thing?
But he recorded it on a ukulele.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like a ukulele.
And also, thing of note is that Freddie wasn't involved in this one.
No Freddie on the recording.
No Freddie.
Wow.
But I just think this is a Paul McCartney inspired, Beatles inspired,
Skiffle, Dixieland, sort of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
shall we just move on to Bohemian
very
Rhapsody?
Tasty bass playing again, Brett. Listen to it just for the. If you
I
can't get into the song, listen to the bass
If
playing.
you
I don't
can't
know
be
why.
nice, Brett.
I don't know why. Can't help it. I'm being really honest. There's songs that I love on this album, but
If in doubt, listen to John Deacon.
If in doubt, sit it out. That's what I say. Let's move on.
Okay.
Let's move on.
So
I got something to say about that, Brett, but we'll talk about that later.
So track 11, Bohemian Rhapsody.
I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, where do you
what
start
can we
with this?
say about this that hasn't been said already?
It's an absolute masterpiece of songwriting. For me, songs don't get much better than this one.
Is it the right album
really
placement
hard
for it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it is for me. Yeah, it's really hard to think how to imagine it not being there. How do you talk about something that's this? Is there a more iconic, famous song than this?
I don't know.
Well, there probably is, but
I don't know that you could ask many people on planet Earth and play them a part of this song and they hadn't heard it before.
And no radio station wanted to play it, did they? Because of the length of.
That's right. Yeah.
Well,
such a
famously, there's a great story, isn't there? Which of Kenny Everett playing the DJ. You know the story, Brett?
Yes, he played it a lot, didn't he?
Well, he took because the band couldn't. They really wanted to be, and all the record executives were saying no. Did you know in the film? Sorry, because I've watched it recently. I know the film. One of the record executives is Mike Myers from Wayne's World.
Right.
Okay.
Because he was really upset. He didn't want to use. He was really upset. Or thought he would upset Queen by the famous Wayne's World scene with this song in it.
Yes.
And he was invited back to that, or got himself forward to be one of the executives who said, "This is it's not." And if you listen to the quote in the film, this is really nerdy but quite cool. He says, "This isn't going to be a song that kids are going to be playing in their car." That is really
crazy.
Cool. Watch the film again and watch out for that part.
Brilliant.
That's
great
cool.
one-liner.
Anyway, Kenny Everett. They gave the manager and Queen gave it to Kenny Everett the reel-to-reel tapes, not the because it hadn't been finished or it wasn't, and said, don't play it on the radio. And he said, "Oh, I promise not to, wink, wink." It was one of those things. And then he played bits of it to kind of like get people interested. And then over 2 days, he played it 14 times.
Wow.
That's brilliant.
So it was Kenny Everett has a lot to...
You'd never get away with that on the radio now, would you?
How do you write something like this? How do you just...
Do you know one of the best things I've
wish I
seen
knew,
and
Brett.
heard about this was an interview with Brian May, and Brian May said he's almost glad that Freddie isn't around to have to explain himself.
But he doesn't even know what Freddie...
He never did he? Freddie never explained...
He never... But obviously now with, the way that people are interviewed and things are really, looked at under a microscope, he may well have had to have dissected it, which I think would have lost some of the magic.
Yeah.
And
you'll never know.
That was really cool. That's what Brian May... That was his thoughts.
Yeah.
I think he wrote this over years. It was in his bounce around his head for years, and I think it is just different. I don't know. It's a masterpiece. It's his masterpiece.
But it is what when you look at it. It starts with an a cappella vocal, all done by Freddie. You get the beautiful kind of ballad into an epic guitar solo. Then it goes into an opera. Then it's like a rock anthem, and then it finishes with the kind of that ballad coda, which it's just. Stunning.
Freddie famously called it a mock opera, didn't he?
A mock opera, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just. How do you can't say anything that hasn't been said about it. I don't think. I think it's the amount of genres and things, and obviously prog did a lot of that stuff. But for a pop song, not a pop song, a song that did so well, so across the board, and it held the record, didn't it, for being 9 weeks at number one? That was so well loved, yet. hard to pigeonhole and cross so many genres and was so different.
You know what it's like now, where you're putting your music on streaming services or whatever. And, you've got to say, it's like alt rock or it's
pirate shanties, which is what I'm now going to call our music.
Pirate shanties. But I mean, how the hell do you pigeonhole this? How do you, in today's terms, how would you get this playlisted?
That's what's so brilliant. They were up against that with the radio, weren't they? Because the same thing as now, if it's more than 2 or 3 minutes, and people's attention spans now with micro content and stuff.
Yeah. And yet,
people necessarily are open to it if it's a great work of art.
But what you're just saying about people's attention spans, as younger people like.
You're going to say Brett's nodded off.
Oh yes. But like kids and like the younger generation now are just
kids these days
all over Queen.
Mm-hmm.
Like Queen are a massive band with every generation.
Yeah.
And it just is. It's incredible.
It is incredible.
Absolutely incredible.
The video. There was also, we should mention the video. This was it's not one of the first, but it established having promo videos and music videos for songs because of the success of the video of this. It was the early days of this, and it's often credited as launching the MTV age, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I guess, with Top of the Pops and things, it would give bands a chance to promote music with their visuals rather than having, what were the dancers called, Brett, on Top of the Pops back in the day?
They're dancing what?
People, the women on Top of the Pops, I think they're all women. They used to dance if the band weren't there, but it was a hit single. There would be a dance troupe that came out. What were they called?
Don't know.
I thought this would be the sort of thing you'd know.
Why?
Jody?
No, I haven't got a clue. I don't know.
Dancing Girls.
I don't know.
Pan's People.
Who?
Pan's People. I've heard of Pan's People. I thought they were a band.
No, it's the Dancing Girls on
Never
Top of the
knew that.
Pops.
Didn't know that.
I would love to have.
Have I made all this up?
I think so.
Don't know.
Oh, no.
That I'd love to know. I don't know if it's ever documented the recording of this and how it was done. But
go on.
No, I'm just going back to how we talk about music being recorded back then. And
you see, I have heard an interview with Brian May where he talks about the recording of this, and he said that
is it the Rick Beato interview? Because that's great.
Yes, yeah. What makes this song?
Yeah. What makes this song great?
That's it.
Love Rick Beato.
Yeah, Brian May talks about that. John, Freddie, and Roger would sit in and they'd work out sort of pieces of it, like little sections of it.
Yeah.
And then they'd piece it together and then they play it. But he said they only ever did it sort of 2 or 3 times before they all got it. And he was saying how quick they all were, like especially John Deacon, for just picking up a part or putting a part to a song.
Yeah.
But he said it was pieced together and I don't think they really knew how it was going to all come together,
right,
as a finished song until it was put together.
Is that the interview, Joe, where he talks about how he composed a solo as well? Because I love that.
Yes.
Was that the same?
Yeah.
Where he sung it in his head. What do I want to hear here without the guitar? And obviously, I'm not successful with this, but I love that idea. I've tried doing that. I've tried it as well, unsuccessfully. But that's what makes, I think, that guitar solo so great. It's not just his unique tone, feel, and sound, which is incredible. The melody that he's composed that adds so much to the song. He wanted the guitar, because Brian May composed that, didn't he? That melody.
He wanted the guitar to take over from the character, so it felt like a continuation of the story. So it felt like it was an integral part of the song. And when you listen to it, it really is.
Yeah,
it really is.
I love that. I love that solo. I mean, I won't play it. No one wants to hear
it. Also very interesting, talking about putting the vocal harmonies together in the middle section, like you touched upon earlier, Rick. The 3 of them would sing, Brian, Roger and Freddie. They do three rounds
of mic at a time,
rounds, and then they go 3 again.
Wow.
Up to 180 tracks on this. Over 180 tracks on this song. I think it was over 180 tracks.
They're bouncing stuff down there.
They've got to 24.
The musicianship on this, when you really look into it, is just mind-blowing and makes you feel very kind of insignificant as any kind of...
I bet the engineer was sweating, having to do all that business.
So what I can say about this is different. It's a bit of a personal one. Sorry, I know this is your territory, Brett. I'll talk a little personal thing.
Okay.
I was listening to this on headphones earlier, just for before we come up and did this. Just I don't need to hear the song again, but I thought is there anything I haven't heard before? And as it goes, Bismillah, as he shouts Bismillah, which... I know you're big on Arabic, Brett. Is Arabic for God, isn't it?
Yes.
We've had thunder and lightning today, and it literally the thunder and lightning and rain just is the most epic biblical thunderstorm at that moment. It was a real moment of like, am I awake? Is this a dream? And oh my God, it really hit me, just literally out the window.
Did you have headphones on?
I had headphones on.
Brilliant.
It was incredible.
And I messaged
really,
you just after, didn't I? Because we had it as well where I live, and it was like thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening. It's like, it was really bizarre.
That's silent stupid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I just there we go. No one's ever said that about it before. I thought I'd try and say something different about it.
Nice. I like that. Rick.
I think we could probably do a podcast on just this one song and talk about it forever and ever and ever. But as you said, Rick, it's been said many times before.
Obviously, the three of us universally love it because it's Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
And I'd like to go back to what we mentioned and picked up on earlier. If this wasn't put on this album, how much does this song represent the weight and size of how big this album was?
You've got some other big hitters like "Love of My Life," which for me
you have
right up there at the top.
You
of
have.
You're my best friend.
Yeah,
no, I agree. Yeah.
Let's do track 12 briefly because this is "God Save the Queen." Obviously, our national anthem, traditional, but arranged by Brian May.
Yes.
It
used to end Queen shows. I get why it's there, and it's fine, and it's a really clever arrangement. The guitar orchestration's brilliant.
Yes, the distorted bass.
I was going to say I didn't realise there was distorted bass till recently.
It's gnarly, isn't it?
Yeah, and but it's just adding another part as well. It's not actually just root notes. He's playing a part.
We had a bit of noise there.
He's got his guitar. He's got his guitar going.
I haven't got my. I'm not going to play it.
That was a guitar.
We got away with the whole podcast without that guitar coming out.
Are you going to do it, Rick? You're not.
No, I'm not.
This one always reminds me of when he did it at the
top of the Buckingham Palace. Yeah,
on the Queen's Jubilee.
That's right, the Queen's Jubilee. Yes.
Did you see the footage of the Queen saying to him once, and him saying, he met the Queen after that point, and he said, I was actually in fact the one on the roof playing the national anthem. And she went, oh, that was you, was it?
Yes.
She just put in such a great, that
Hope
was
you took your shoes off.
You noisy bugger. That was you, was it, doing that?
Brilliant.
I love
that. Great. Okay, let's have a favourite track.
So can we say it can't be Bohemian Rhapsody?
Yeah, so
I think that's fair because Bohemian Rhapsody will be everyone's
favourite. What's your favourite track apart from Bohemian Rhapsody?
Love of My Life.
I'm with Brett.
Because I'm with Brett.
Oh, wow. And we all agree.
And I'm going through a beautiful phase of my life and I really connected with this song.
I will run out of time.
So I've said it. There we go. Possibly why I'm a little bit wild and a little bit all over the place today, but hey ho.
Hey ho.
That and the fact you've probably been drinking again. That's what happened.
At 9 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like I drink.
Yeah, love of my life.
Yes,
every
there
time.
we go. Wow. Yeah. I've really enjoyed doing this. I don't feel so sweaty now as I did before we started it. I think I got through it and I did have a bit of a sweat on. I think I've represented myself and my relationship with this album and been as honest as I can. But
I wondered what you were going to say after the decking story earlier.
Massively respectful to some of the greatest musicians ever put on the planet.
Do you know, I was thinking about this.
Sorry, Roger, for getting my trousers down on your decking. Sorry again.
I like he's going to listen to this.
He will.
Can you imagine it? Just his
my mate Rog.
What the
Yeah, he'll go back through the CCTV.
He would be like the Queen, wouldn't he? Oh, that was you, was it, on my decking?
You dirty bugger.
Yeah.
You take your shoes off.
You noisy, dirty bugger.
I take my trousers off.
Why did I do that? Why do I do these things in life? Oh, I'm so sorry. Anyway, there we go. I've said my bit. Thanks for listening.
Please check out our band, Damn the Wolves.
Find us at damnthewolves.com and please follow us on all the usual socials.